Hey guys, I think today is going to be a special episode, a little bit of a different episode because I'm coming at you unscripted. Usually when I record a video, I have scripted it because I have a very limited amount of time to actually record the video and produce the video. So I've got to be very precise. I don't have room for mistakes. Today I have a little bit more time. So I'm just going to speak off the cuff. I hope this works well because I'm excited to do this today because I have a subscriber who sent me a comment and asked me to address the question, how do we build a life, how do we create a life, sustain a life without God, without belief in God, without believing there is a God? And this subscriber asked me to comment on that and give my thoughts on that. And so I'm happy to do that. It sounds like the subscriber, based on the comment that I received, has abandoned the idea of a God, has deconverted from Christianity, which I have obviously done. And so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to kind of riff on that idea. I'll give you my thoughts. Doesn't mean my thoughts are right or that they're true or that they may even apply to you, but I'm just going to tell you how I have built a life without God after deconverting from Christianity. And maybe some of the lessons that I've learned can be applicable to you. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments. And so for those of you who are new here, don't know who I am H.G.Roberts. I'm the author of On Monsters and Phantoms. It's my memoir about severe religious trauma and deconverting from Christianity after 25 years of being a Christian. And on my channel, we talk about religious trauma. We talk about how the Bible itself leads to doubt, depression, confusion, anxiety, mental paralysis, emotional oblivion, and of course, trauma. And I do have a master's degree in mass communication, so I'm always thinking about the messages that the Bible communicates to us today, how those messages are filtered through the communication channels that we subscribe to, so to speak, whether that's in church or on social media or whatever. And then the cognitive filters that we've established in our own minds to interpret those messages from the Bible and apply them, and how Christianity itself and the Bible itself can and does lead to a destructive self and worldview for many of us. So that's what we talk about here. So let's get into this question. How do we build a life without God after we've deconverted from Christianity? Every day I wake up and I think, what am I doing? How am I doing this? Why am I doing this? What is the point of still existing? So we'll start with this idea of nihilism. And I think many people who walk away from Christianity, who were so entrenched in it, so embedded in it like I was, it ruled everything about our lives. We governed our lives around it. And then when we walk away from it, we reasonably left empty and hollow and thinking, how do I do this? What does life possibly mean without anchoring every decision, every experience in the transcendent, in God, in the God of the Bible? I should be specific about that. There's definitely a feeling of emptiness that can come along with deconverting, confusion, fear. So I left Christianity because of severe religious trauma, and it's almost like I traded one trauma for another. The trauma of now going, what is all this? And the trauma of nihilism, if you will. But I will say this: I don't claim that there's no God. I have walked away from the God of Christianity for good reason, and all my videos detail this if you want to explore why. But I don't claim that there's no God. I don't know that there's no God. I don't think anybody can know that there's no God. I know there's the atheist claim, not that they just don't believe in God, but they can prove that there is no God. That's not where I'm at. And the reason I'm not there is because I still value and embrace and am very attracted to the idea that there is a transcendent force, creator. I don't even know how to define it, and I'm reluctant to define it because coming out of Christianity, those definitions were spoon-fed to us, and therefore we had to think about a God concept a certain way, and that way became very troubling for me. So even using the term God is hard for me. I like to use the term transcendent or the spiritual. Even that has some negative connotations for me, but I have not abandoned the idea of something. I call it animism animism. I don't know what you want to call it. I don't like labels, and I don't like trying to define who I am and what I believe and what I value based on pre-described terms and definitions of things. I'm sort of putting one foot in front of the other and making this up as I go. And I know that can sound unappealing to many people. There's definitely a scariness to that. But I still embrace the idea of something bigger and greater than myself, something that connects us all. And I know this sounds very like Star Wars Force-y when I say this, but I do believe in the power of something greater than us. And I am fascinated by that. That appeals to me, that attracts me, and I am in continual pursuit of whatever that is. And the great thing about it is that's not defined for me by an external source. I get to define that. I get to choose what meaning I create from those thoughts. And that is very attractive, and that is one of the benefits of leaving Christianity is I can use my own intuition, my own experience, my own personality, my own temperament, all of who I am to define what I want to be and what I want to believe. And that is freedom. That is freedom. That's true freedom. So I just wanted to start there. Yes, I do have my nihilistic moments, my nihilistic days, and I'm going to talk about how I overcome them here in a second. But I just, again, wanted to start by saying I haven't abandoned the idea of some kind of transcendent force creator that binds and connects, whatever we want to call that. And so let's talk about nihilism a little bit. Let's talk about how I day to day sort of build my life. Part of it is this right here, talking to you guys, creating videos, putting them on my channel, talking about religious trauma, talking about the harm of Christianity, why it's a toxic belief system, giving you example after example, at least from my own life and from the lives of others and from the literature, and really just spending my time and resources really thinking about this, critically examining this, and talking with you about it. And because I can do that, and it's a reciprocal relationship, you guys comment, you guys let me know how my videos and content resonate with you, there's power in that. And that is an antidote in some ways to nihilism. So when I feel like nothing has meaning, everything is meaningless, there's no point to anything without a God now, I'm reminded every time I release a video, every time I have a conversation like this with you guys, that there's something here. There's something to this. There is meaning behind what we are co-creating in this conversation about religious trauma and the harm of Christianity. There's meat on the bone, so to speak. And I like that. I value that. And because of that, I'm sort of awakened back into this reality that does exist around me. It is palpable. It's apprehendable by my consciousness. And therefore I go, well, there's a reality here that I can't deny. And our conversations only affirm that. And that pulls me out of this sort of nihilistic framework and going, okay, one foot in front of the other, keep doing what you're doing. There's meaning here, there's power here, there's benefit to doing this, so keep going. So that's one way that I build my life without God, and to counteract these nihilistic tendencies is to keep doing this, keep talking to you guys, and keep the dialogue open, if you will. And one of the things I like to kind of point out to myself is that we don't need a God for morality. A lot of people think, well, without God, you can't possibly have morality. I've said this in other videos that I don't know that I've changed a whole lot since leaving Christianity, except changes for the better. I'm obviously less stressed, less anxious, less traumatized by walking away from a God that I believed was evil and a monster, and I think can be quite easily empirically validated and proven through Scripture. But getting back to this idea of what I do day to day, putting one foot in front of the other, I lean into what I believe my talents are, my voice is in this world. Like I said, creating these videos, talking to you guys about religious trauma, exposing the world to the harm of Christianity through the lens of religious trauma, really defining what that is a little bit better. not only telling my story, but inviting you guys to share your stories about religious trauma, because I think collectively this has an impact. I already see it. Others are doing similar work, and the more each of us kind of rises up, has the confidence to share our story, feel emboldened to share our story, I think the more power we're going to collectively have of redefining what our at least our nation's focus is in terms of religious affiliation and things like that. So I think we're making progress. It's slow, and I think there's going to be Christians who certainly fight back. I get that. I would have too if I was still a Christian. I did fight back often. Now I'm free to love and serve and pursue that which matters to me, that which has value to me. These connections that we're forming here, these are things that energize me. These are things that motivate me. These are things I believe that help me make the world a better place. Now, I know that's a loaded term, better place, because Christians define a better place as a place that is devoted in service to Christ and that follows the biblical mandates and things like that. We cannot have a better place without God and the Bible. If we abandon that, then we'll have a worse place. I don't agree with that, and I don't think that the data proves that or demonstrates that. So what I would encourage anybody who has deconverted from Christianity, who is wrestling with the idea of how do I build a life without God? How do I anchor myself in things that I value, principles that matter to me? Well, that's for you to know. I don't know what your journey is. I don't know what your gifts and talents are, and I don't know what your education is, your life experiences are, but you do. And lean into that. Lean into everything that you are and everything that you value. My only thing, and I would have said this as a Christian, and I say it as a non-Christian, let's make our pursuits about the collective good. And I know there's different ways to define that, and it gets a little dodgy, a little hazy. But in what I'm doing, many Christians would say that I'm creating a lot more harm in the world by exposing the flaws in Christianity, or what I perceive to be the flaws in Christianity, the dangers and the harms. I know a lot of people rely on Christianity for comfort and for joy and for peace and for happiness. I did too for a very, very long time until it became catastrophically traumatic for me. But I do believe I'm making the world a better place by being honest, being authentic with you, speaking my truth. It is a truth that I did not want to ever come by. I did not want to leave Christianity. It was certainly a terrifying proposition that took many months, if not years, to make the decision to leave Christianity. Ultimately, it was a decision for my health and my self-preservation. To leave Christianity. So for me, it was a better decision. And now I think I'm making the world a better place by exposing what religious trauma is to people. No matter what you do, no matter what you pursue, there's always going to be the detractors. There's always going to be people that you're in conflict with. It doesn't matter. So embrace who you are and what you do. But I would just, again, say I hope that is contributing to the greater good of society. I hope that what you pursue does not inflict harm on others. And if it does, own that and say, I understand why this might be creating tension or conflict for you, but here's why what I am saying and doing has societal value. Again, you're not going to make everybody happy. There is no way, whether you're a Christian, or whether you're an atheist, or whether you're straight or homosexual, whatever your agenda is and whatever your platform is and whatever you want to say is going to offend some, and it's going to resonate with others. So you just have to decide, is the net gain here good, beneficial? And so lean into what you love, lean into what you value, lean into your talents and skills, your education, your experience, and pursue that which makes you feel alive and fulfilled and that has meaning for you. There's plenty of things that I could do in this world that actually wouldn't have meaning to me, but this does have meaning to me. So I'm just going to continue on this journey for as long as it takes me. And so a lot of times we think of God prescribing our morality, giving us directions on where to step each day, creating our to-do list in life, if you will. And without that, are we capable of doing that on our own? The answer is yes. It's a practice, though. You have to, it takes a while, and everybody's different in how they leverage, I guess, their own abilities to become self-empowered, reclaim their own agency and identity in this journey of walking away from Christianity. And so give yourself time, be patient with yourself, and try some things out. See where they go. See how it makes you feel. See where it leads you. See if people resonate with whatever it is you're doing. And if they don't, that doesn't mean don't pursue it. That just means you've got to find your own way. That's what I'm doing every day, every single day, every video that I put out. And the last thing I'll say, and we'll kind of close this out, is this idea of an afterlife, heaven. Without the reward of heaven or without the threat of hell, am I still motivated to do good? Am I still, do I still have guardrails on my own life so that I'm not out raping and murdering and stealing and lying and all those things? The answer is yes. I realize that I don't need a heaven to do good, and I don't need a hell to avoid the bad. I am who I am, and thankfully I'm an observer of society, and I can pretty well see what's going to benefit others and what's going to benefit me and what to avoid. That's going to create conflict and tension and pain for others and for myself. And so, that's just how morality evolved in us over time. You can research evolutionary ethics and things like that, and you'll see that mutual cooperation and all those things that we all talk about all the time are real. And when you walk away from Christianity, you see just how real they are and how much they actually work and how fruitful they can be as pursuits. And so, HG, you lost the idea of heaven, your eternal reward. What are you going to do now? Well, here's the thing. It's going to sound a little weird, but this is where I'm at right now, and I'm okay being honest with you guys that the idea of an afterlife still appeals to me. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that looks like. I cannot define it. I refuse to define it in terms of, biblical ideas. But when I am doing the work that is most meaningful for me, this kind of work, talking about religious trauma, sharing my story with you, catalyzing a conversation around the world about religious trauma, helping people come out of hiding, come out from quivering in the corner because of their own fear and anxiety over their beliefs and who they are, because Christianity has made them have such a destructive self-view. That matters to me, like I've said. And that feels eternal. I don't know how else to say that. But when I'm doing this work, I'm in, quote unquote, the pocket, if you will, if you know what I mean by that. I found my stride. I'm doing that which fulfills me and provides meaning and context in my own life. And because of that, it resonates with me as eternal. What does that mean for an afterlife? What does that mean for reward or damnation? Again, we use these terms, reward, damnation. That's what an afterlife has to be, because we've been conditioned to think that through Christianity. Why? We don't have to do that. You can actually create the thought of an afterlife however you'd like. Nobody knows what that is. Nobody can clearly define that. I know we think the Bible has clearly defined that. Research heaven and see if you can come to any real good conclusions about what it is, how it works. I know people think they have, but you can poke holes in those arguments all day long. I have, and I know others have too. So this idea of an afterlife, this idea of the work that I'm doing, the message that I'm sharing with the world, having some eternal value, I believe it does. And that is rewarding. Will I exist? Will my conscience exist after I die? I don't know. That can be scary, but it can also be exciting to think I now get to redefine this on my own terms. I get to think about an afterlife in my own way. Now, I'm going to stop with the caveats. I know how other people think about that, and I know the objections that'll come. Okay, that's fine. But I'm going to continue saying that, because when you get on the other side of Christianity, you realize you are free to build a life, build a consciousness that is your own, that's not hijacked by ancient myths and texts, that lack morality, that lack any kind of real verifiable truth in them. So where does that leave us? That leaves us with ourselves, and what we're going to do with that. So I hope this was helpful. I hope that I've said something of merit here as I just sort of riff on this idea. Again, this is not normally how I do videos, but I had a little more time to do this way today, and I've enjoyed that. And I'd love to know what you guys think. Let's continue this conversation. If I didn't address the question correctly, let me know, and I'll try again in a future video. So anyway, guys, thanks for being here for this one. I always like to mention that I have my memoir on monsters and phantoms available on Amazon for purchase. Again, it's my memoir. It's my story through severe religious trauma and then deconversion from Christianity. It's a very intense book. I like to say it's the only book you're going to want to put down. You know how people say, well, I couldn't put the book down, it was so good. This is one you're going to say, I had to put it down from time to time, because it's really intense. It covers some incredibly dark and difficult topics, but I want to tell the truth. And I hope you guys want to tell the truth too, and I hope the world is ready to hear the truth about this. I will not stop telling the truth and telling the reality of religious trauma. And I appreciate hearing from you guys who have gone through it as well. So anyway, if you do purchase the book, let me know in the comments so I can thank you in my next video. I would love to do that. It's my honor to do that. I'd love for you to leave a review on Amazon, just to let others know what your experience with the book was like, and that it can be beneficial to others as well, especially those going through religious trauma. And if there's anything you want me to talk about, say it in the comments. If you're not familiar with my channel, take a look around the channel, explore what other videos I've created and posted on religious trauma, so we can get a better understanding of who's most likely to experience religious trauma, how it forms in those folks, and what we can do about it if it does form. That's my mission. And I really appreciate you guys being here. Like, subscribe, share this content. We're building up the channel one subscriber at a time. I'm happy to see that it is growing. So let's help it grow more, and let's continue to catalyze the conversation about religious trauma, as I always say, to let those who suffer from it know that there's hope, and to let those who dismiss it know that it's real. I'll see you guys soon.